Hi everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the New Leaf Podcast. This is my podcast about knitting and crocheting and basically my journey to becoming a full-time knitwear and crochet designer. My name is Carmen, and thank you so much for taking some time to watch my podcast. I hope you enjoy it. My name is Carmen, as I already mentioned. You can find me on Instagram as crafty_queens. I also have a blog by the same name, craftyqueens.nl, because I do live in the Netherlands. And I am Caramelletje on Ravelry. And I am New Leaf Designs NL on Etsy, right? On Etsy, I sell amigurumi crochet kits. At the moment just two, but I'm looking to expanding the range, so stay tuned for that. I want to say a big warm thank you to all of you who commented on my last podcast episode. For those of you who have not watched it, I was kind of feeling feeling a little like blah. I don't really know how to say it. I had also watched Amy's episode of that same week of the Stranded Dyeworks, the Stranded podcast, I'm sorry. And she was experiencing the same blah feeling, and it was mostly coming from comparing yourself to others. And I had also been comparing myself to others, and that's just not a good thing to do. Especially when you compare yourself to designers who have been designing full-time for years, and that's just not my situation, so I cannot compare with someone who is in that situation. So and everyone just left so many kind comments, and so much great advice. So much, I don't know. I feel like the grammar Doge dog, you know, the dog. Much nice, yes. Wow. Anyway, one of the commenters left me some great advice. Her name is Bookazine. She also has a podcast on her channel, Bureau Vosse. I believe she also has some English episodes, but most of her podcast episodes are in Dutch. And she said, well, instead of comparing yourself to others, what she always did was comparing herself to herself in the year before. So I thought that was a pretty good idea, to just focus on how much you have progressed, and I think that would be much more satisfying than making some unrealistic comparison with, you know, design gods. And after reading those comments, I felt just so much better, and I've also been more mindful about things. For example, I was watching Kristen's one of her new episodes from the Woolen podcast, and now she has some really her podcast is amazing anyway, but like sometimes I also put texts in the bottom, right? For example, a pattern name that I'm talking about, or something or other, and she now has this really beautiful and stylish graphic, kind of like a paint splash, and then it just looks so cool, and I was like, oh, I wish I could do that. And right at that moment I thought, what? Am I now comparing you know, am I now wishing that I was at the stage of someone who has been podcasting for years? I mean, you know, not realistic at all. So I've been trying to be more mindful about it, and yeah, and I really appreciate all of your advice. And if there are others out there having the same kind of blah feelings, then you know, maybe also take a look at the comments, and maybe it will also work for you. Now let's actually get on with some knitting and crochet content, because this is a crafty podcast. As always, I will have some timestamps in the description box in YouTube, so if you do feel like skipping a section, for example the mystery knit along, maybe you're not at the same point yet and you don't want any spoilers, then just feel free to skip ahead. So yeah, please make use of the timestamps if you like to. I have some exciting news. I have a new publication out. It's in the new Bookazine by Scheepjes. They have a Bookazine called Yarn, and it appears twice a year. This is the 4th issue, and it's the 3rd issue I have submitted a design for. And each issue has a theme. This is themed Dutch Masters. So it's about 4 Dutch painters, about Vermeer, Van Gogh, Mondrian, and who's the other one? Right, Rembrandt. How could I forget Rembrandt? And I have 2 designs in it, and first I have to say all of the designs are absolutely stunning, and I will show you some of my favorites. My absolute favorite is the Winter Light Poncho by Tatjana, and I'm not gonna try to pronounce her surname, but this poncho is just stunning. It's crochet. First I thought it was knit, but then I saw it was made by Tatjana, and she does amazing crochet designs. So it has cables along the bottom hem here, and it's made out of Scheepjes Merino Soft. Yeah, it's totally beautiful. My other favorite project is the Starry Night hat by Tammy Canavan, or Canavan Soldat actually. So you can see it's a hat inspired by Van Gogh's painting Starry Night. It uses these colors. Yeah, it's just beautiful. It has, I don't know if I'm saying that right, corrugated rib. So it's color work rib, and then also some color work here. And it's made in Scheepjes Spirit yarns, which is, I believe, a blend, acrylic and something else. Oh yeah, it's 56% cotton, 44% acrylic. Oh yeah, that's it. That makes 100%, Carmen. Yes, very good. Now let me show you what I have made. I actually had the samples shipped back to me, but then there's this craft fair going on at the moment called the Creado. It's a Dutch craft fair. It's huge. It's not only knitting and crochet, but also sewing, baking, scrapbooking, jewelry making, basically anything crafty. Yeah, so that's going on at the moment, and they asked if they could have the samples back to, you know, have them on display. So otherwise I would have had them here to show you, but I will be at the craft fair on Sunday, and I will be wearing one of the samples. So hopefully I'll get some video footage of that. So I've made 2 designs, but they're basically the same thing. Only one is the knit version and one is the crochet version. They are the Delft sleeved scarves. And let me show you up close. So they are basically sleeves with a larger portion in between, which you can wrap around your neck. So they are both scarves and sleeves. And here on this page, they show the different ways you can wear it. So you can wear it as a top, or just as a scarf or a cowl. And here they have it crossed at the back. I believe actually this is the same. Yeah, that's basically just the front and back of the same way to wear it. Yeah, and actually the knit version is a little bit longer, so you can wrap it around your neck twice for an extra like cowl feeling. Otherwise it will be, if you just wrap it once, you can wrap it around your shoulders as they've done here. So you can pull it over your upper arms. Yeah, so there's a lot of ways to wear it, and yeah, it's just a very simple pattern. The sleeves are ribbed, and the section in between is stockinette for the knit version, and double crochets for the US terms is that double crochets for the crochet knit section. Yeah, oh, and it's made out of 2 lace weight yarns held together. I actually have some samples of those. Stash diving, and I found these 2. I have lots of these, and they are just amazing to combine with each other. So Scheepjes have 2 lace weight yarns. This is the Scheepjes Rhythm Alpaca, and this is the Scheepjes Rhythm Mohair. They come in 25 gram balls, so if you just need a little bit, it's you know, it's easier to get the correct amount of yarn and not, you know, have 20 grams left over if you buy 50 gram balls. But anyway, they have the same colors in each of the ranges. So for the alpaca, this color is also available in the mohair, just the exact same shade. But what I've done is that I've taken 2, I'm not sure how to say it, colors from across the color wheel and combined them. So for the crochet version, I took blue and red, and from further away it just looks like a purple rosy shade. And for the knit version, which appears just yellow, it's actually a light gray alpaca with the yellow mohair. So yeah, so it's really nice to combine colors. Would also be a very nice combination. You just have to keep in mind, if you're making your own combinations, that usually the alpaca will give some more color than the mohair because the mohair is thinner. So from afar, it would seem, yeah, actually kind of yellow, orangey maybe. But of course, this is not the same as knitting it. But yeah, I really enjoy kind of marling two colors together. So that was fun, and I'm really looking forward to Sunday because you know, it's really fun to see how people react to one of your designs. And I'm bringing many more samples of other designs. And yeah, I always like getting feedback. I'm not always as diplomatic in dealing with feedback, but but it is nice and I do appreciate it. So yeah, so I don't know if this episode will go up before Sunday. If it does, please come and say hi if you're at the Creado on Sunday. And I'll probably will be filming there, and I'll add some footage to the next podcast. Yeah. So, okay, lots of talking, nothing of actual knitting or crochet to show you. So now I'm actually gonna show you some of the things I have been making. I am delighted to announce that I am able to cross another pair of socks on my gift list. Or off my gift list. It was such a long sentence that I just didn't know how to end it. So I've completed another pair of gift socks. These are my Cheesecake Socks. Since the yarn, the colorway was called Cheesecake. It's super soft. It's just amazing, and I feel sad that I'm giving these away, but also I'm feeling really happy because I love giving gifts and seeing how people react to them. So let me just show you one at a time, that's easier. I have used Craftfulness yarns. Craftfulness is a hand-dyed yarn business owned by Sandra, who's a friend of mine who lives in way up north in the Netherlands. I live way down south. So, and Sandra dyes beautiful yarns. And this yarn is dyed on her spoil base. And the spoil base is just that, a yarn to spoil yourself with, because it is so soft. It's really soft. And I have done a ribbed pattern. I still have to block them. You might be able to see the ribbing better afterwards. But I just finished the second one last night. I knit these toe up, and for the foot I only did the ribbing at the top half, and the bottom half is just stockinette. Then I put in a waste yarn for the heel, and I continued up the leg, now doing the rib all around the leg, and then I bound off in the pattern. So I didn't do a special, I didn't do other ribbing. And then I went in and put a afterthought heel in it. And with the second one, I actually had some difficulties because at the end of a afterthought heel, you do a Kitchener stitch to sew these stitches together. And it just didn't work. Well, I finished doing the Kitchener stitch, and then I was pulling each strand just to make it tighter. And there was this huge hole. I think I just skipped a stitch, or maybe as with the Kitchener stitch, you go through each stitch twice. So once you do it knitwise, once you do it purlwise, and I think through one of these stitches I might only have gone through once. I think that's how I ended up with a big gaping hole. So then I had to put my needles back into the stitches alongside of the Kitchener stitch and unpick the Kitchener stitch until the hole, and then just, you know, fudge it. It looks fine though. And with weaving in the end, I just wove it through the stitches so that it was secure. Yeah, but all in all, very happy with these socks. And what I'm even more pleased with is that I got almost 50 grams left. So that will be enough for a pair of socks for me, even if I don't do contrasting heels or cuffs or toes, because I usually only take about 60 grams for full length socks. But I think I am gonna add, you know, a contrast color or complementing color for the cuff. I think that will be nice, and I like longer socks, so yay, really excited. Yeah, so that is one pair of socks off the list. And so that would mean I have 3 pairs left to knit, but actually I now have 4 pairs left to knit because my boyfriend found some sock yarn he fell in love with, and now also wants a pair of socks for Christmas. So I'll have to see if I can do that. I think I can, but anyway, I'll see. I'll show you that yarn later. Okay. Next project is the Mystery Knit Along by Stephen West. The Speckle and Pop Mystery Knit Along. I am almost done with Clue 2, which is really exciting. Yeah, so I'm just gonna give a little spoiler alert. If you are, you know, if you don't want to see any spoilers from Clue 1 and Clue 2, please skip to the next section. So I have done quite a bit of work on this since I finished my commission project last week. I'm so happy. I mean, it was really enjoyable to work on, but it was nice to be able to work on the shawl for a change. And yeah, I've made quite a bit of progress, so let me show you. It's kind of difficult to show since the needle is too short and they're scooching from side to side. So yeah, not sure how to show you this. So what you're seeing at the top is Clue 2. So, and that's another short row wedge. So this is the long side, and then here is the wide section, and here's the really narrow section where it's just, you know, 2 rows, and here's a bunch of rows. Yeah, so, and what you see below, the kind of zigzaggy section, that's Clue 1. That giant, it is a scarf already. Actually, I have a confession to make, because last Sunday, I finished Clue 1, and I wove in all the ends, and that evening we were going out for sushi, and with some friends. And I just wore Clue 1 as my scarf. It was really nice and warm since, oh my god, I have lost stitches. So it was really nice and warm because I think this is all 100% merino. And it was already quite big. So now I'm kind of excited that it's getting even bigger, but also a bit worried. And also because I read that, this section has almost 400 stitches, but I read that for the next section, we're supposed to end up with 800 stitches. Oh my god, 800 stitches, that's... yeah. What do I actually want to say? No, I'm doing it again. Okay, I have to be really careful because I will lose stitches. So, I have been working on this every day. I have been working on my cheesecake socks during my lunch break at work. And then when I get home from work and also in the mornings, I would work on this shawl. And I am really enjoying Clue 2. It is very intuitive. I'm gonna show you up close now. It's a slip stitch technique. Kind of like when you knit a heel of a sock, but then with the ribbing at the back instead of simply purling at the back. And I think the back side looks even prettier. I'm not sure if it shows with all the light coming through. Yeah, you can see it there. I love that. It looks like reverse stockinette, but lacy. It's really, really pretty. And as you can see, we're only using the main colors for this section and none of the color pops. But I read that the very last row or 2 rows of this clue, you can pick one color pop to finish it. And as I've been saying, I've totally fallen in love with my Bramble Mini from Hedgehog Fibers, because it just has so many fun colors in it. And I've been saying this on my Instagram too. Whenever I come across this rebel speck of green, I just love it when that happens. So I think I'm gonna go with this color pop to finish this section. Yeah, I'm just not sure if I have the correct amount of stitches. I have one little repeat to go, and it just doesn't really, I don't really have the correct number of stitches, but I'll figure that out later. I'm sure it doesn't really matter, or I can just fix it in the next row, because I think I have 10 stitches too few. I'm 10 stitches short, but I think it will only matter perhaps for the next section, so I'm not gonna bother trying to go back and fix it, because I have no idea where I have gone wrong. I'm just gonna go in the section, where you're just gonna go back and forth on the whole entire. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm making no sense. So for this section, we have been going in short rows, and now with the color pop, you're gonna go all the way. So if I do end up with 10 stitches short, I'm just gonna increase 10 stitches on that section and be done with it. Okay. Explaining is so hard for me today. I don't know why. So I have 2 more really fun projects to talk about. One is a yarn dyeing experiment. As you might recall, I don't know which episode it was, but I did some yarn dyeing with a plant that was in my backyard. It was called pokeweed. Pokeweed is the English term, but it's actually a different type of plant as the American pokeweed. It's called karmozijnbes in Dutch, and yeah, it was supposed to yield kind of a purple shade, but then it turned out, wait, I'm gonna show you. It turned out like this, and yeah, I thought it was really weird, since the berry is like wine red or even, you know, purple. But, you know, I decided to not be too disappointed and just use the yarn in a future dye experiment. So what I've done is I've collected some chamomile, or chamomile, I don't know, I just think chamomile. I've collected some chamomile flower heads, and I have over-dyed the rest of the skeins. And so this one is not over-dyed. And I've done that in several batches, and they turned out to be different from each other. So there's this kind of ombre effect going on. I really like that. So I put them on a stitch holder. Let me just show you. These are the yarns I dyed, and I think it forms kind of a gradient. So these are the ones that I dyed first. So they have the most intense yellow color, and then I dyed these in the dye that was left. So it's just a little bit darker than the skein I had dyed before with pokeweed. But together they make a really interesting gradient, and I'm thinking of making some, you know, gradient socks maybe, because this is sock yarn. Yeah, that would be nice. I don't really know if I would make something else out of these colors, because I don't know, I wouldn't really wear these. I'm really happy with these two though, because they are kind of mustardy yellow. I really like these, but as they make such a great gradient set with the others, I kind of want to use them in the same project. So stripy socks may be fun, or might be fun. Yeah, so that was my dyeing experiment. I didn't mordant them again. So I mordanted them with alum for the first time I was dyeing these, and then for this time I didn't do that again. But also because it's animal fiber, mordanting isn't really as important as with plant fibers such as cotton. So yeah, but I really like them. So that was interesting, and I think actually that I might have gotten a brighter shade if I was being more careful with the chamomile, since I let it boil, and I know that is bad. Not with the yarn in it, but just the flowers. Yeah, I let it boil, and I know from a natural dyeing workshop that I did in Rotterdam this past year. For the Dutchies who might be interested, that was at Textielfabriek. It was a really lovely workshop, just one day, and I dyed a bunch of stuff, which is really, really cool. I'm talking about that more in one of my early episodes. I know the title is Mad About Madder, because madder is a natural plant. A natural dye I really can't talk today, I'm sorry. Yeah, so if you're interested about that, please go and watch my episode called Mad About Matter. And yeah, so I think it might have been a bit brighter if I hadn't let it boil. So that's something to be mindful about for next time. Yeah, and also next time I think I'm just gonna buy some dye powder, because it is actually illegal to, you know, pick flowers here, or berries or nettles or whatever. So yeah, I don't feel too good about that. Now I have one more project to talk about, which is a future knitting project. And I've been talking about this for a long while. I am going to make the Melli cardigan from Pom Pom Quarterly. It's from Pom Pom issue 20. And yeah, here's the cardigan, Melli cardigan. Oh, let me actually look up the designer, because I don't think I've ever mentioned her. Oh, Camille Rossel. I'll also put it down here. And it's originally made in La Bien Aimée Merino DK. So, a few episodes back, I talked about buying a beautiful sweater quantity of my friend Sandra's Craftfulness yarn, which is the same indie dyer as from the Cheesecake Socks. So this seems to be Sandra's episode. Yeah, and the colorway is all the mauves in the world, and I love this yarn. And it's on the same base as the socks, only DK weight. So I have done 2 swatches. Oh, yarn is rolling. This was on the suggested needle size, which is a 4mm needle, which I think is a US 5, because 3.5mm is US 4. That's something I've learned in the past few days. Yeah, so this was on the recommended needle size, and as you can see, there's this really cute bee pattern with the strands of yarn there. And I love this colorway. You might see that I've used 2 different yarns here, and I've been recording some tutorials on how to alternate skeins of yarn, but also why to alternate skeins of yarn. And you can see that here in the top half, the second skein, there's a lot more rusty color than in the first skein, which is more of a light pink, and it has more of those blue grayish flecks than this one. So I did a little tutorial video about that, which will be up soon. And on this swatch, I got the row gauge, but the stitch gauge was way off. Probably like 3 stitches per 10 centimeters. So that's huge. Then I tried again on 3.5mm needles, US 4. And you can just see the size difference, because I cast on for the same amount of stitches. See that difference? Not much in height, but in width, oh my god. And also, it's just a nicer texture for a garment. I'm twisting swatches here. So the 4mm gauge I think would be very good for a shawl, but I really like this gauge for a cardigan. I would even consider going even, you know, a smaller gauge, but that's not what the pattern requires, so I'm just gonna go with this one. I've made a mess out of things. There. Okay. What did I want to tell you about this? Oh, right. Yeah. So, I was expecting to just use 4mm needles for this, because I never really use a different needle than the pattern says. Having said that, I don't follow many patterns. I usually just do my own thing. Yeah, so I don't have a 3.5mm needle free at the moment. So that's just my luck. One is on the mystery knit along, which I don't think I will be finishing in, you know, soon. I think it will be in another 2 weeks maybe. So I think I'm gonna get a new circular needle at the Creadu this weekend, because the other, I don't know, oh, it's on my bathrobe. The other never-ending project. Yeah, so it seems that I just like to use 3.5mm needles. Yeah, so I'm just gonna have to get more of those. All right, now let's move on to the next section, which is arrivals. I have lots of new stuff. I'm gonna go through it fairly quickly because I know that this is probably already a long episode and I still have a lot to talk about. So, first, let me show you the yarn that my boyfriend picked out for his socks. We went to Woll of Fame. Woll is wool in Dutch, and Woll of Fame is just an amazing name for a yarn store. They had their 2-year anniversary last weekend. It's a yarn store in Maasbracht, which is fairly local to me, or at least where my parents live, so I visit that area quite often anyway. So I went there and they had, you know, food and drinks, and it was just an amazing atmosphere. Lots of people knitting. They had workshops, lots of chocolate, and lots of amazing yarns. And I walked away with 2 skeins and a goodie bag. But the first skein is this Manos del Uruguay Alegria, and it's the O Tanto colorway, and I can never read the name of the artisan. I'm very sorry, or the location, so but the color is really beautiful. It's typically my boyfriend's colors, so yeah, some golden browns, lots of greens, and also some white and yellow. I'm not sure how that will play in the sock, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna make a Hermione's Everyday sock for him, and since he has exceptionally large feet, I believe it's EU size 47. That's 10 sizes bigger than me. I mean, come on. So I'm not looking forward to knitting these socks because they will take twice as long as my own socks. So because 100 grams of yarn or 400 yards, 400 meters is usually enough for a size 46 pair. I've decided to just pair it with this contrasting yarn for a toe, and then the rest will be this beautiful yarn. I was actually surprised that this was suitable for socks, because it does have 25% polyamide, which, you know, is comparable to nylon. I asked my boyfriend, do you see any nice yarns? And he was like, that yarn. And I'm like, you can't knit socks with Manos del Uruguay. It's way too luxurious and probably doesn't have the fiber content for it. But then it did, so yeah, he proved me wrong. So yeah, good on him for having good taste. The first skein I walked away with. And then I also got a skein of this opal sock yarn, and it's called Relief yarn. It, you know, to English speakers, it's not relief. It's not that you feel amazing relief when knitting this. Well, maybe you do. I still have to see. But it's actually relief. So that means kind of 3D or overlay knitting, just that stitches lay on top of each other or are thicker and thinner. And let me show you the ball band up close, because I'm not quite sure what's the deal with this yarn. So if you can see, on the ball band, they are demonstrating different kinds of textured stitches, and it seems to me that they are doing these stitches whenever there's a color change, so that it looks that it is actually embroidered on top of the knit, of the knit piece with a different yarn, because they only do this when they encounter a new color change. I think it's an interesting technique. And the instructions are on the inside of the ball band, so I haven't really read them. So now I'm actually just speculating. Let me see if that's actually what they do. It's only in German, but I can read German, so that's no problem. But something to keep in mind, I don't think that they have a instruction in, no, not another language. They give one type of instruction here, and then the rest I can see online. So for this, on the ball band, they give instructions on how to do a knit square. So it's basically just purling when you encounter a color pop. Yeah, so I'm not sure if I will do that, because, you know, it actually looks like it would also be a really fun stripy sock colorway, you know? But, you know, I am really intrigued by this, so I might just make a little swatch and see how it knits up. Yeah, I'm just curious to see, you know. I want to give it a chance. So, idea when I'm gonna do this, so just stay tuned and you'll see it whenever I do it. That's basically the tagline of this podcast. You'll see it when I do it. They also had this really lovely goodie bag, which came with more yarn. I love getting more yarn with yarn. So this is a really fun hat yarn from Chamomile. And it seems like it would really stand out in the dark winter days. So this is a really, I don't know if it really like flashes if you know, in a car headlight or something, but yeah, it seems like a good option to have neon in your hats, you know, for your kids or something if they go to school and it's still dark outside. So I can see why they would use neon for that. And then there were also, you know, non-knitting related stuff in here. And also, I'm not really sure what to do with this. I think it's used in sewing. I'm also not sure how to call this in English. In Dutch we say BA-band. I think it's basically an edging. But other than that, I don't know. So I might use this, I might give it to my mom. I think she would like it. And there was also a pattern booklet by Scheepjes of this lovely blanket by Maria McPherson. She's also one of the Scheepjes bloggers. We didn't have this booklet of the series, so yeah, it's great to add to my collection. It's really fun, and I hope actually to visit Wall of Fame more often, because it is a really great yarn store and they're really modern, and they're also doing great workshops. So if you're in the neighborhood, please check them out. They really, they're doing a great job, and I hope they continue to have their yarn store for many, many more years. I've also acquired some other yarn this week. It actually arrived today. I'm taking a day off today and I wasn't expecting anything, but then I hear the doorbell and I see the postman out of the window and I was like, what did I order? But then I remembered that I did not order anything, but that a lovely viewer had sent me something. So some time ago, Louise from New Zealand contacted me on Ravelry if I was interested in receiving some Possum yarn. And first I thought, Possum yarn? I hadn't heard, you know, of Possum yarn. She said that, you know, she really enjoyed my Dutch episodes of the podcast, which I was recording before I started the English episodes, and that she'd really like to send me some New Zealand possum wool, or possum yarn I should say. She explained that possums are kind of a, you know, plague in New Zealand because they eat a lot of birds' eggs. So yeah, they're kind of endangering the birds. So and they produce a lovely fiber that can be spun into a beautiful light and warm yarn. So that of course sounds perfect for winter wear. And she was so kind to offer to send me some of these yarns, and so I just received them today and I was completely overwhelmed. This is so kind. Thank you so much, Louise. Yeah, so she sent me 2 balls, white kiwi prints, and I think the brand is called Naturally. It's 55% New Zealand merino, 20% nylon, 15% alpaca, and 10% possum. And so there's 2 balls in this variegated purple. It's beautiful. And also you can see, well, I can see, I'm not sure if you can, that there is a really soft halo. I think that's from the alpaca and possum combined. And yeah, it's just beautiful. I think I have enough for a pair of socks because I know that alpaca is warm, and I do know that alpaca is very drapey, so it's not really suitable for projects that you want to have negative ease in. So socks, you want them to fit pretty nicely around your feet, pretty snug. And alpaca is really drapey, and I'm actually not quite sure what possum fiber does, but I do know that it's very warm. And if there's something that is cold, it is my feet. So I think I would like some really warm possum socks. Although I did think about gloves, but then gloves, I use them pretty intensely, and they get dirty and stuff. So I think if I knit something with this, I want it to be something that I can be very gentle with. And if it's socks, if I don't wear them around the house, because actually some people think that if you wear socks around the house instead of in shoes, that they get less wear and tear, but that's not true, because if you're wearing them in around the house, you're actually using them as shoes, well as if they're in your shoes, they stay put and they don't get any friction, so that's actually better for your socks. So I think that will work out. And then this is light as a feather, really. This beautiful skein of dark plum purple, or maybe a, what do you call that, aubergine? Eggplant. Yeah, it's a really deep purple. It's beautiful. And this is 55, no, I'm doing it wrong again. 75% pure New Zealand merino and 25% possum. So this has a higher possum content and no nylon. It's 50 grams. And I thought this would be nice to make a hat out of. It is fingering weight, so I might hold it together with maybe some of my mohair. I think that would be really nice. And actually the color is really intense. I think it's over dyed with black. I'm sorry, I didn't notice it was out of focus. Or maybe it was in focus, but it's just really halo-y. Yeah, I love this color, and I think I could wear this on my head, right? I think that would go with my hair color. Yeah, I think that would be really nice. I'm so happy. Thank you so much, Louise. This is a really, really generous gift, and I hope to make some beautiful items with this possum yarn. This skein is actually also from the Naturally brand, and let me see if I can read the yarn. Amuri, it's called. Okay, Amuri. And it says, for more information, you can check out naturallyyarnsnz.com. So if you'd like to know where you can get some possum yarns, or possum blend yarns, I mean, then go and visit that website, naturallyyarnsnz.com. Okay, it's actually getting quite dark and the lighting wasn't great as it is, so I'm gonna try to wrap it up, but I do have some things I want to mention. First up is a great, well, I want to say new, but it's not new, a great podcast that I have only just discovered yesterday. and it was formerly called the Tiny Paper Foxes podcast, but is now called Woolen and Handmade, or Handmade and Woolen. It's a podcast by Jenny, who is still Tiny Paper Foxes on Instagram, I think, and Ravelry anyway. So, and she lives in America. I'm not sure, because she uploaded a new episode, and I just saw it on Instagram stories that everyone was going crazy about it. Jenny has a new episode, and I was like, okay, who is this Jenny person? I need to check her out. So after a 6-month hiatus, she has filmed a new episode, and she actually has about 50 episodes or so. She started back in 2015. So after watching her newest episode, I was completely hooked, and she makes beautiful things. Yeah, and I just went back to her first episode, and I think I'm at episode 4 now. Yeah, I've been watching them nonstop. It's really fun to watch. And on the older episodes, her husband Devin is also giving some photography tips, and I think they're just really cute together. Yeah, so if you haven't heard of Handmade and Woolen, formerly Tiny Paper Foxes, yet, please go check her out, because she is awesome and makes the most amazing things. In the older episodes, she still lives in Brooklyn, New York, so that's also really exciting, for me anyway. Yeah, and I also wanted to talk some more about Knitstars. In my last episode, I wasn't so happy with my subscription to it. It's a online series of masterclasses of amazing designers, and it was spread out across 2 weeks, and for every working day you would get a new set of workshops. So there are 10 designers in total, 9 knitwear designers, 1 crochet designer. For the first week, I think I watched 4 out of 5 designers' content, and although the designers are wonderful, I think they maybe weren't given as much time to do, their thing. I was really excited about the Tin Can Knits masterclasses, but then some of her videos are only like 3 minutes, and I don't know, I just don't know, but I just was kind of disappointed, because I would have loved to hear more from Tin Can Knits, because her patterns are amazing, and I think I could learn so much more from her. Yeah, but then afterwards I watched workshops by Stephen B. And his, actually, I have to admit, his was the one I skipped from the first week, because I didn't really know him, and I thought, oh, it's probably just some male designer that everyone is going crazy over because he's a man. And I don't, I see that a lot, that some male designers get more attention just because they're male. But actually, he has a really different take on designing and combining yarns, and it was really interesting. So I actually really enjoyed his masterclasses, and they were really lengthy too. So yeah, that was just fun. And then this past week, I also watched Laura Nelkin's workshops, and I love Laura Nelkin. I also have a Craftsy class of hers. It was something with lace. there were 2 lace shawl designs, and she was going through the whole shawl with you, and I had never experienced such a workshop, and it just completely blew my mind. So I was already a fan of hers, and now in this set of masterclasses, again, she's doing Shetland lace, Japanese lace, Estonian lace, and she's just taking the time to go through a whole well, not a whole design, but a whole repeat of the lace, and explaining why something is you know, specific for Shetland lace and why something is specific for Japanese lace. And I just learned a lot of things from her workshop, so that was really great. And I do have some others I am still going to check out. Well, I'm gonna watch them all, but I'm really excited about Amy Herzog's masterclasses. She's from the website Knit to Flatter, or no, that's a Craftsy class. I think, yeah, her website is called Custom Fit, and she explained something about the website, and I think it's really intriguing. So I'm really looking forward to her workshops as well. So, but still, I feel like it's aimed more at knitters than at designers, and I think if you're looking into designing and learning some more, you know, having some more tips and tricks on that, I would recommend there's this online masterclass by Frenchie from Aroha Knits. She has done a great job at creating this online masterclass just for designing. First you go from a very basic shape cowl, then to a more complex shape hat, and then she takes you even further. And so if you are looking for something to help you along with designing, I would say go check out Frenchie's masterclass from Aroha Knits. I believe it is called Ignite Your Magic. I know the Facebook group for this project is called Swatch Studio, but I think the online masterclass has a different name, but I think you would find everything on her website, Aroha Knits. So yeah, that's a bit of recommendation. I actually also wanted to talk about my new website coming up. I have done some playing around with headers and banners and stuff, but I think it's too late to get into that, so I'll just show you later. And I have this really exciting news. I'm not certain yet, but I have asked at my full-time job if starting from January it would be possible to work a part-time job instead. So I would work 4 days of 8 hours instead of 5 days. Yeah, so I've asked if I can have every Thursday off, and that day I would then work from home on my designing, yeah, on my designs. So that's really exciting, but yeah, she still has to check with my boss. So yeah, so I hope to let you know more about that next episode. And yeah, but I'm just so excited, and I just wanted to share that with you since, you know, this is my journey to becoming a full-time designer, and I thought this was a really important part of that. And you know, you're just so great, all of you, and I just wanted to share that with you, even if it's not official yet. So keep your fingers crossed for me, and I hope to share more about that next time. For now, I think I'm gonna turn on some lights and round up my designing for today, and then, you know, gonna have dinner. starving. Yeah, so thank you so much for tuning in for this, I want to say this week's episode, but I actually think I will only be recording once every 2 weeks. Yeah, so thank you for sticking around so far for this episode, and I hope to see you all again in 2 weeks. Have a great time, and in the meantime you can catch up with me over at crafty_queens at Instagram. I will be documenting my Creado visit and lots more. So yeah, thank you so much, and I will see you again next time. Bye bye.